Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Off Day with Ballpark Nation. I've decided, Andy, that might be our theme song for a while. We need to be everybody's place to feel comfortable.
Well, I'm glad that you upgraded because I was getting a little bit over the last theme song we've used for the last several episodes, and I was going to suggest Islands in the Stream, but this works too.
We can try Islands. You know, and I'm always happy to mix it up. Today I want this to be a place where everybody feels welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and make before we make the conservatives mad at the end of the show, I thought we'd make the liberals mad now and say, I'm going to SeaWorld, people. Get off of it. Relax. It's going to be fine.
I feel there's different subsets. Nobody is a monolith. Conservatives or liberals. No, there are different opinions. There are places who do the whole SeaWorld thing better, the concept better than others. You and I grew up in the Houston, Texas area where there was Sea-Orama.
Oh, boy.
In Seawolf Park in Galveston. And if you want to talk about a place that was probably turning those dolphins into tuna a little bit afterwards, that's the kind of place I'd be worried about. If St. Ambrose Elementary School could afford to take you there on a field trip, that wasn't a quality place.
Ironically enough, I think SeaWorld San Antonio did open my 8th grade year, and it was where we went for our 8th grade trip. So I guess my school was just doing a little bit better once you left, I guess.
Probably.
All right, Andy. Well, look, I'm starting off talking a little bit of Longhorn baseball. I'm stealing a bit of your shtick by making my tagline fit the show. Don't talk to me about the series and everything else if you didn't play this weekend, if you didn't make the playoffs, if you were the only number 1 seed ever to not. And don't all of a sudden start referring to the University of Texas San Antonio as your brothers because, oh, my God, I saw that already. Hats off to UTSA. That was a good baseball team, man. And they had a plan, and Texas was what you and I thought they would be at the beginning of the year, and also kind of what we thought they were becoming once they lost their Friday night starter. I mean, they were 5-9 their last 14 games. So it was a team that overachieved and was fading. Not a great season, but a good one.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. You have to tip your hat to Pat Hallmark and the Roadrunners out of San Antonio.
Mimi.
It was a well-coached team who rose to the moment. And we talk all the time about tournament baseball, playoff baseball. Weird things happen. Texas certainly wasn't the only national seed to be going home after their regional.
Man.
There were a few, and that just goes to kind of demonstrate the parity that's starting to creep into D1 baseball that you and I have been talking about on various shows for now 2 or 3 years. And if you want to have somebody to thank for that, you can thank Major League Baseball in their infinite wisdom of throttling the minors down to 10 rounds of draft and only 4 minor league affiliates per team, and all the things they've done to eliminate cost out of their program. You've got a lot of talent in a lot of D1 baseball teams, and a good coach, as you saw with Pat Hallmark, can put that together for a season, and certainly in the context of a 4-game tournament. But to the point of Texas, I cannot justify a fan base that I may or may not be part of trying to cope with their season by piling on Texas's season. But it does go back to the whole, I don't want to play you guys, and not because I think we're never going to win or any of that kind of nonsense. It's just fucking tiresome.
It's exhausting.
I don't, just the same way I assume you don't want to sit and measure your seasons against what A&M did. I don't want to sit and have to worry about what Texas does or doesn't do. It doesn't make my weekend any better to know that my friend's pissed off because his baseball team lost in a situation they should have won. And if you're getting fascination or happiness out of your life because of that, you need to refocus on maybe family, friends, a job. something else besides college athletics, because this group of 18 to 22-year-olds, whoever it happens to be in whatever sport you follow, is going to fucking break your heart at some point.
It's going to happen. There's
not everybody's Alabama football coached under Nick Saban.
It's why I did the shout out to John Patterson, who I guess I just shouted out again. Like anytime I can find any type of relationship where I can see, like, even if it's to an Aggie Longhorn friend kind of trading bars with each other and immediately jumping on somebody else for not getting, like, it's manna from heaven, because the reality is, particularly when it comes to your baseball team, there's too much random to not commiserate with the fact that, yeah, it sucks to like this sport, man. We've talked about this all the time. Baseball's dumb and we're dumber for liking it.
Yeah, and more poetically, Bart Giamatti, it's designed to break your heart. It's true at literally every level once you get out of like rec league ball.
Yeah. Yeah, and Texas, you can look at lots of things they did not do. I mean, Astros fans, if you've heard this one, I think 3 for 16 with runners in scoring position in the first game. This ridiculous, not moving, popping up bunts. They did everything fundamentally wrong, and UTSA did everything fundamentally right, and that's usually going to win baseball games for you.
Yeah, and that's, I think it comes down to being hot and making the fewest amount of mistakes, and I think that was what San Antonio did over the weekend. Texas ran into an offensive issue that we thought they were probably going to have anyway, although the offense under David Pierce wasn't ever necessarily bad. It just wasn't great.
Right.
I think Slosh and his coaching staff got what they could out of it, and a lot of what they could was a lot of good stuff. But unfortunately, you run out after a while, whether it's through the law of averages catching up with you, injuries, guys going cold at the wrong time. I was more impressed with what he and Max Wiener were able to do with the pitching staff, because that was the weakness.
Yes. And I said that going
injuries,
into the season.
Injuries, I think, finally took the toll at the end of the time. You don't lose a number one. You don't lose your Friday night starter, not have issues down the line. But I think that's, and I'll say this about A&M's team too, I think there's a lot of good things you can build on. You have more good things to build on right now. A lot is going to happen in the portal in the next couple of weeks to determine what kind of team is going to be riding at Dish Falk next season. Like every other D1 team, because now you've got the portal, you've got the draft, you've got to figure out which high school kids are going to make it to your campus. There's a lot for coaching staffs to do.
That's the other thing, too, about UTSA, too. That was a team full of seniors that has been playing baseball together for a long time. They don't have NIL deals. I saw a former Roadrunner comment on Twitter, and he said something to the effect of, a lot of people think we have the budget of a mid-major college. That's not true. Our budget's more of a 5A high school team. I thought that was pretty funny.
I am told they get 10% off at Mitiera.
That's the... Well, there's, you know what, though? I would take 10% off at Mitiera's. You ever do the Polaroid when you're there? Take the Polaroid? Oh, absolutely.
If you're going to Mitiera, let's make a recommendation. You go to San Antonio, it's a giant tourist trap. Still go there.
You still have to go. I mean, I'm heading there again right now. I do also want to touch on one more Longhorn story, and then I've got a special shout out. But can't be. But for as much as I thought the baseball team, middle of the SEC coming in, we thought that they would have bullpen problems. We thought the softball team would be good, and they are. And for as much as people want to give Texas Tech credit, much like in Rocky IV, when Texas beat OU in the first game, they're not machines. They're just ladies. And I think the minute Texas beat OU that first time, all the pressure on every other team in that tournament came off, because that's been the biggest juggernaut in sports in the last 10 years.
Absolutely. And I'm conflicted about what's going to happen in the championship series, because very good friend in my office went to Tech. She's very excited about Tech having some success in anything, frankly.
Sure.
And then for the University of Texas, there's a St. Pius alumnus playing for Texas, Victoria Hunter. So I've got rooting interest on both sides. So I'm excited to see what happens. And we will say this again. If you are not watching the college softball World Series, you're completely missing out, because it's a hell of a good time.
It has been, and partly because my daughter Jordan is here and she played high school softball at a high level in Oregon until an injury. And so it's been, I mean, it has been, we've had more softball on at the house this weekend than we've had baseball. And it's just been so exciting. And there's something about watching how female athletes compete. And part of it's messed up, right? Because there's not, at least there wasn't until coming soon, but there wasn't a professional avenue for them. So in many ways, that was the end of their careers. And so they were treating it as such. It wasn't like you watch the baseball team where it's like part of you realize they're almost as much focused on getting to the next level as they are winning at the moment. These girls want to win and they're leaving it all out there. And that means physically, but also means emotionally. And it's refreshing and awesome to watch.
I think, excuse me, I think the other side of that is that there really isn't a pro league for these ladies to go to once this is over. So they literally are playing maybe some of them the last game they're ever going to play. Yeah, there's the hope that you get one of the 12 spots for USA softball. I don't know if there's
whatever that's going to be, but that's still
I don't know if there's a Polish softball league for the female Scott McIntyre to go play in at some point. It's not like even women's basketball now where there are pro options. These women are literally playing for scholarships and for love of the game.
Yes.
There's not sponsorship opportunities, and for everybody who moans about college sports just aren't the same as I was growing up, go watch women's sports because they are the same. It is people playing for the pride of the school and for the love of that game.
And you do have you obviously have some exceptions like the Texas Tech pitcher. Like I think she's on like $1 million NIL deal, but that's might be the highest for women's sports period, not even just for softball. But yeah, like to your point, yes, the new league is starting that Kim Ng is put together, that Major League Baseball decided to start, the Athletes Unlimited, but that's 4 teams. And we know that way more leagues have started and failed than have been successful. So it's not like there's an entire Major League Baseball system that just about probably a third of all college baseball players are going to get a chance to at least tickle a little bit.
Yeah, there's not a league with 150. There's not a league with 150 teams waiting to take you in. It's just not.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can't blame the Texas Tech pitcher because Cody Campbell has $4.8 billion in cash from selling his shares of Double Eagle, and his only interest is Texas Tech sports. I'm a lot more envious than I am mad about that situation.
Sure.
I'd love to have.
Can you imagine what like Oklahoma State would have done if NIL was a deal when Boone Pickens was throwing money around? They might have won national championships and everything.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a really good equivalent because Cody Campbell is approximately our age, has billions of dollars in the bank, and literally only cares about how well Tech does in sports.
Well, he might have billions of dollars, but does he have a moderately watched sports program? I don't think so, buddy. I don't think he does.
He could buy one. I'll take a sponsorship.
We absolutely will become Texas Tech Daily.
I'll guns up the whole thing.
See my guns up. I did teach, one of the things, like my grandkids are in town and I love them, and shout out to Braxton and to Lulu, but I try to teach them, to model good things. And I taught them a song that I wanted to share with our fan base. I don't think I'm teaching them very good sportsmanship, but I taught them this in the middle of Jack Allen's kitchen, which I regret. But it basically is very simple. If the Longhorns make you mad, throw your phone. If your Longhorns make you mad, throw your phone. If you hit the guy across the restaurant and he bleeds out, it's his fault for being in the way. If the Longhorns make you mad, pull up your phone. But the problem with throwing your phone, Andy, is you might hit somebody in the hand, and then they might be subject to the Astros medical staff to help them.
You can just walk by somebody's hand. Maybe look at somebody's hand wrong, evidently, and the Astros medical staff will come out of the closet and hurt you.
Somebody compared it to the doctor on The Simpsons. Hi, everybody, which I thought was the most fun thing. Or that
I was more Dr. Spachiman. Medicine is not a science.
Or at least it wasn't Dr. Hibbert. Actually, he might have actually been better. But no, and then the Astros did recognize their team doctor. He'd been the team doctor for 35 years.
The hand specialist?
Yeah. Here's the deal, man. There are a lot of things. You were much more knowledgeable about a long range of things than I am. I didn't think that X-rays were impervious to swelling. Like, I thought you could still kind of see through an X-ray to get an idea. And now you're also hearing reports that Alvarez was never telling the team he was fine, was always telling the team it felt different, including telling fellow players. Like, what is going on?
I wish that I knew. I think that's, as much as I don't want to give this plug, you probably need to be following Chandler Rome, because he seems to be the only beat writer at this point who's
still follow him yesterday on Princess Day. Happy me getting blocked anniversary.
Well, you can't, thanks to Elon, you can't actually block anybody anymore. You just can't respond to the post. So, I mean, you can read everything he's saying. But no, he seems to be the only beat reporter that's willing to actually ask questions and go like, what the hell's going on? And I don't blame the other ones, because some of them work for MLB, some of them work for the team, some of them are in the bag for different reasons. At this point, we will let Chandler's discussed with the Astros front office work for our advantage. I don't understand, to the same point, and I do understand that there is a world where enough inflammation could hide a stress fracture. But that doesn't mean you just don't do the X-ray and do an MRI and go muscle strain. And that doesn't mean that you wouldn't rescan everything before you had your $40 million investment start swinging a bat again, because scans take, I don't know, 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
If you're you and I imagine they can do it faster. So
I imagine they can.
There are things missing in the timeline that make no sense to me. If Alvarez was complaining and he tried to play through it, a million athletes do that. Team should have been on top of it. Evidently they weren't, or didn't take it seriously. I don't know. Maybe Alvarez complains about things hurting all the time, which would be kind of on par, because frankly, things seem to be hurting him all the time.
All the time.
When they initially pulled him from the game on May 2nd, I believe, you do an MRI, you see a muscle strain. That's the only thing that was reported. A scan was done. People assumed that would be an X-ray and an MRI, but apparently not. At some point, swelling goes down, and then you do those scans again. I've had surgeries. I've had muscle strains. I am currently somehow having tennis elbow. I don't know what that's about.
That's old age, my friend.
I've literally never played tennis in my life.
But also factoring
there's missing in the process that it just feels like the Astros medical staff just kind of willy-nilly goes about and lets the players have way too much say over the process. And again, if you are a $100 million investment, a $200 million investment, I'd want everything checked all the time if I were the Astros.
Let's be honest too. Not only that, but one who swings violently, but also one had his age. The only reason why Jose Altuve is playing left field is because he can't, because he is so injury prone. Otherwise, this would be a non-issue. He'd be in left, Altuve would be a DH, and we would not be fighting this whole where Altuve should play. Yeah, I don't understand how you are not more on top of it. If he's going to be your DH, which means you're going to have him 4 at-bats a game, how are you not wrapping him in bubble wrap and scanning him every 5 minutes? Like, he is the key to the offense right now.
Yeah.
And the offense is functioning really, really well, except what's it missing? It's missing one more power threat. Well, that power threat is not there because you allowed him to – you took his word for it, or you misinterpreted his word, or you ignored his word. Honestly, the more that comes out about this, the more it feels like not just dishonesty to us as fans, which, you know, again, I think Chandler Rome has been a way different reporter since he left the Chronicle and went to the Athletic. I think he's actually been incredibly very good. But it feels like they're also being dishonest to the players they're supposed to be making sure can post every day.
Yeah, and I am not a person who believed at any point that free agents aren't going to want to come play for the Astros because of the cheating scandal and all the nonsense that came out in winter of 2020. I do, however, believe that free agents will make decisions based on, is this an organization that's actually going to take care of me and handle my injuries appropriately and deal with things in a way that makes sense, both, you know, from a PR standpoint as well as medically. I also don't believe that the Astros owe fans any kind of clarity. That's one of the complaints I've seen is they should be more forthcoming about things. That's not our business to know. But I don't get a good sense that they're being forthcoming with their own players. And that is more concerning. And it goes back to, this isn't an isolated incident with Yordan Alvarez. Kyle Tucker was out with a bone bruise that evidently was a fracture the entire time. And the Astros mystified with that. Based on their own actions, because they kept trying to rehab him for things that he wasn't suffering from. And there's been a few different instances of that over the last couple of years, and I just don't know what's changed, because I've never perceived the Astros front office or the medical staff as fully incompetent. It's a common joke that we all have as Astros fans that if they see discomfort, the guy's about to die. But I think all baseball teams are somewhat like that. They're vague with injuries, and there's some reasons they would do that. This goes beyond that. This is just, we're going to say one thing, and it means absolutely nothing because it's probably going to be something else, and we're not going to find out for weeks afterwards. And the fact that Dana Brown is going out saying, oh, yeah, he's days away, and Joe Espada saying, oh, yeah, he'll be here this weekend, and then, oh, nope, shutting him down. We'll find out. It just, something stinks.
And that is the thing for me. You're right. We are not owed private information about someone's medical situation, but we are owed not being lied to. And we're also owed to not seeing them as incompetent. I wish the answer would be, we don't discuss injuries. He'll be back when he's back. I wish that was the answer. Instead of, like you said, oh, he's going to be activated this weekend. And then you check the lineup for this weekend. And then again, I've got the grandkids here, so I'm doing granddad stuff, and then I get a text from you, and it's like, what the hell's happening? Because again, just don't lie to us, or you're either, because it either makes you look dishonest or it makes you look incompetent, and we have to also separate two things. This is not pitchers going on the IL. Pitchers going on the IL for everything they're dealing with is a factor of we're throwing harder, we're throwing with spin, the lack of sticky stuff, all of those things. And that's a league-wide issue in which the Astros aren't even the biggest victims. They're about middle of the road.
Yeah.
That's different than mishandling bone bruises and muscle strains that are really both broken limbs.
Yeah, it's a mystery, and it derails what I think is not an unpleasant season so far. There's been some fits and starts, but we're a half game out of first place in the West. We're solidly in the playoff race. And frankly, if you look at the rest of our division, I know you like looking at schedules, we've played 44 games against teams above 500. The team we're currently chasing, that we're in a virtual tie for, has played 28.
Yeah.
So the schedule is going to balance out a little bit real soon, probably after we get past Paul Skeens today.
Yeah.
Although he suffers the same thing that a lot of our Astros pitchers suffer. They don't score runs for him in Pittsburgh. So, I think we just have to survive him. Maybe talk to Altuve and say, today's not the day to swing at the first pitch, buddy. Today's not the day.
Today's not the day. No, and I'm actually kind of disappointed because I'll be in Pittsburgh for tomorrow's game and for Thursday's game, and I'm kind of disappointed not to get to see Paul Skeens. I got to see him when he came to Houston, and he's one of those talents that you try to take away your own loyalty for a team and just watch pitch, because the guy is fantastic. And I really commend the Astros. I did it actually at the time where they basically turned it into an LSU night impromptu when they saw that he was on the schedule to face the Astros. So that was kind of fun. But it's not been a bad season. And despite the injuries, and I think we saw that a couple things. One, if Lance McCullers is on his way back, and now it seems like, that performance he gave his last time out was as good as we'd actually ever seen him in the regular season, with also paired with Hunter Brown. And now it looks like Fromber is back to being as good as he's ever been. This is a good Astros team that is 1 or 2 bats away from being a great team. Like you said, they're practically tied with Seattle in first place. And Seattle has, just got taken to task by some teams that shouldn't have been taken to task to just most recently. So quit bellyaching and look at the fact that Fangraphs projects you to win the division. Fangraphs projects you has a 70% chance of making the playoffs in the first place. And as we know, you just got to get in.
The Astros have the 5th best record in the American League right now. They're the 5th best team out of 15. So it's certainly not the stratosphere that we experienced in 2019 through 2022 or 2017 through 2022. But this is a team that's going to be fighting for a playoff spot the entire way, barring just the rest of our starting pitchers dying.
But look at that run. Like, and I did a bit with Emily Nyman, who's our resident Yankee fan. And she's like, Astros fans have to recognize that 17 through 22 is one of the 20 to 25 best runs in the history of baseball. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen regularly. This is actually how most teams function. To get through.
I would say that right now, most teams are around 500. We're 5 games over.
And having gone 7-3 in our last 10.
Yeah, and at this pace, I think we're on a pace to win 89, 90 games. I didn't do the math before we walked on, but that's not a bad team. That's not a bad baseball season. And our fans are eating themselves on Twitter because of in-game results. So, I don't like to denigrate the people who started watching baseball in 2017. Welcome. But I also think there's got to be some perspective that you're not going to win 110 games every season. That's just not a thing that baseball teams do.
No, it's not. And enjoy this ride. Enjoy this run. There's a lot about this team that I love. I love that Paredes has been as advertised offensively and has been way better than advertised defensively. I love that it looks like Christian Walker is coming around. There's still concerns. Yonder Diaz is still, I think, too all or nothing for me, but there's a lot of grit and a lot of fight in this particular Astros team. Something like 15 of the wins, Andy, have been come from behind wins. We didn't see that at all last year. If they were losing in the 7th, they were done.
I don't remember what game it was. It was earlier in the season, but the first time this year that we came back from a lead after trailing after 7 innings was the first time that the Astros had done that since 2023, like early in 2023. So it had been a minute. And that is, I know Brian, if you're watching, will tell us a little bit differently because it's coin flips and 1-run games and all that kind of stuff. But I think when you are playing till that last out in the 9th inning, that tells a really good story for what's going to happen for the rest of the year. Yes, that's all anecdotal. Yes, all you numbers people are going to go, no, but that's not right. I don't care.
Yeah, it's still a game played by people. Like, I mean, you and I are not anti-analytics, but we're also not anti the fact that heart rate also should be something you analyze.
Yeah, and I think this team is showing that it's heart. We'll talk about it more because I certainly expect the Astros to try to be buyers as we get closer to the All-Star break in a month and a half, 2 months. I would like Dana Brown to stop talking about this mysterious left-handed bat that he's going to acquire because he's been talking about it for 3 years and I've yet to see it. The new one is we need a new starting pitcher, and the Astros are evidently in the market for one. And frankly, we should be because you've lost 2 pieces of your rotation and you can't really count on Christian Javier or Luis Garcia to come back this season. I hope they do.
Definitely not Javier. Luis Garcia, but Javier is still not even a year removed from the surgery, right? Like, I don't.
But they're still talking about both of them like they're going to be back around the All-Star break.
Like, Garcia's at least throwing off the mound now.
Yeah, I would love it if it happened. But you've got to plan like they're not going to be here, and all of a sudden it's a pleasant surprise if they are.
Totally. Completely. Yeah, I just think get on board with this team. It's a fun team. Yes, it's different than 2022. And we might see the Astros get to go back there. We like, you might see them go maybe just a little less than all in at the All-Star break and not necessarily add a bunch of payroll or get rid of a bunch of prospects, because you do want to see continue to build. Like, next year, you're gonna have a lot of payroll flexibility. You'll have one more. Cam Smith will be a full year in, and I do think he is the real deal. We were talking a little bit though just now about Princess Night.
Well, I will say before we get to Princess Night, I can't wait for all the people who are gonna get weirdly attached to Jacob Melton be sad when he's dealt. Yeah, because that's gonna happen.
That guy can fly, and he's going to get traded.
Yeah, and, he'll probably be just as successful as Joey Loperfido has been with Toronto.
I think he's back with Buffalo now, I think.
Whichever.
Yeah, boy, people wanted to die on that hill. What for some reason, Astros they love their prospects. For me, I'm all about parades. But speaking of parades, this is my favorite month in baseball for a lot of reasons, and partly it's also the week where I feel so bad for social media managers of most of the minor league teams out there and 29 of the Major League Baseball teams. It is Pride Month. It is the month where baseball has the audacity to say, you know what, baseball's for everybody. And yes, Andy, part of it is about bringing in new fans. And yes, it's the Astros do it smartly. They do it on a Tuesday night and they sell out a Tuesday night where they don't normally sell out a Tuesday night. But your team is dying. Your fan base is getting older. The fact that we're the median fan base age for Major League Baseball is not a good thing for the sport. It's a bad thing.
Scare the hell out of them.
Yeah, it should. But this is also when we get to really find out just how big of an asshole people can really be, because God forbid they say, and look, I know you have a different attachment to this day. My brother from another mother is a gay man. I took him to Astros Pride Night. He was really pretty funny to watch with. But anyway, but for me, it's just, I hate the idea that that people now feel so emboldened to just show their ass. And by the way, before you go on this, dear Donald Trump, you don't get to decide when Veterans Month is. It's not June, just because you're trying to piss off the gay people. It's November, when Veterans Day is. So stop that.
But May is also Military Appreciation Month. So this is one of those things that we get into with Pride and then Black History Month. And the common thing is with those particular instances is, oh, you get a whole month for this, and I barely get a day for blah, blah, blah. The fact that you don't know that there's an Italian Heritage Month or that's not on anybody but you. You're ignorant. You don't read. I don't know how to fix that for you, because I don't think pointing to a calendar works anymore. There are something like 63 days for military appreciation, 62 if you want to take out Memorial Day, because that is separate, not so much appreciation for the current military, but certainly appreciation for the people who have made the ultimate sacrifice for this country. 63 days beyond everything else. And now we're going to throw Donald Trump's birthday parade into it. So I guess it's the 64th. I have no idea how that's supposed to work. Yeah. Let people have things. This literally doesn't affect your life. It does affect other people's lives who feel marginalized, who don't feel seen, who feel threatened by people like you for just existing. And if you don't want to attend a Pride Night, if you don't want to attend a Princess Night, if you don't want to attend Faith and Family Night, don't go. It's okay. There are 80 other chances for you to go to a baseball game.
Yeah.
But let the people have what they want to have. Let people come to the baseball park and experience baseball and enjoy baseball, because guess what? Unless you do, the amount of small conservative white people who want to watch baseball is dying off. And frankly, you don't buy tickets anyway.
That's the best part. You don't go anyway. Like I said, I took my best friend on the planet, one of my favorite people on earth, Cedric, to the game. And I was not attempted to be recruited to be part of the gay community. There was not a man-on-man kissing booth. The only thing that happened, Andy, is they played better music between innings. That's it.
I like that Cedric's take is that the young gays have it easier than he did.
That was his take.
He sounds like a very old man statement that I think we can all relate to.
More unites us than separates us. But yeah, that was definitely part of his take. But to me, I'm a Catholic. And I know, as well as you know, that Faith and Family is not really about us. It's about Protestant Christians. But I'm not going to get my rosary in a bunch about it.
I don't even think it's Protestant. You're very specifically evangelical. I don't think the Methodists and the Episcopalians are lining up to go to Faith and Family Night.
They're probably not. And giving the testimony. I mean, it's way more oppressive. It's way more present. Faith and Family Night is way more present because you sometimes have testimonials between innings. And look, I'm not going to get in anybody's face about their religion. Again, I'm a Catholic, but it's for as much as I don't view religion that way. I didn't get all ups again. My rosary wasn't in a bunch. I don't even know if I focused on it. I just if it's a message for you, take it. If it's not, then don't.
Yeah, my concern with Faith and Family Night is that if you look at the level of promotion that is given to that versus, say, a Pride Night, Faith and Family Night is certainly pushed harder. That's the Astros' choice. That's Jim Crane's front office choice to do. I don't begrudge it. I don't begrudge anybody going to Faith and Family Night. I've attended the game that happened to coincide with those.
Yeah, so it's always a Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, I leave after the 9th inning because I don't want to hear Christian rock because, frankly, it's barely Christian and it's definitely not rock. You're just making both things worse. But it's fine. If you want to do that, go do that. But I would have the same problem with the people who are trying to squash things like Pride Night for trying to squash that. More people coming to the ballpark is good for fans of baseball because that means there will still be baseball. Because there is a world, go watch Brockmire, where there isn't baseball. And it looks like it kind of sucks.
It looks like it sucks. I mean, and now you've got you and I haven't done the banana ball thing, and now it's a full-on league, I guess. It's becoming a whole thing. There is a version of worse baseball out there. And again, it's these theme nights are so easy to ignore if it's not your thing. I've been to Princess Night. Now, Princess Night I actually do enjoy because I have a daughter and she loves baseball and she loves going. And I have a granddaughter who Jordan took Lulu and Braxton to a baseball game this Easter and I didn't get to go. And Lulu thought it was sacrilege. There'd be a baseball game that I wasn't attending. That's a big part of it for me. And if that's what gets people in the gate and that's what gets people to discover why baseball is amazing, that's what matters.
And I'm certainly not equating the people who really take Pride Night seriously with people who are really big comic book fans. But there is a superhero weekend. There is a Star Wars weekend. There is Jurassic Park weekend. There have been throughout majors and certainly the minors. Mm-hmm. Any theme night you can think of has probably happened. And it's all designed to bring more people to the ballpark. And if you aren't a Seinfeld fan, don't go. Or if you do go, don't participate. Just watch the baseball game. It's really, really simple.
This is my favorite bobblehead. George Costanza on Seinfeld night riding the whale. And he's got the golf ball in his hand.
Who does that hurt?
You know who it hurts? It hurts my grandfather.
There's not been a news radio night yet. So I'm, waiting.
I'm also surprised that none of the teams, I mean, I even offered to put it together, have a Jaws night. It is the 50th anniversary of my favorite movie on the planet that I did show my grandchildren last night, and they were into it.
Martha's Vineyard's not having a.
They're playing as the Amity Sharks, and I've intentionally scheduled our anniversary trip to Mexico for overlapping that weekend because I've been to Martha's Vineyard before to do a Jaws tour. It's expensive and hard to get to, and I didn't want to talk myself into going over the 50th celebration weekend because I might have been miserable. But the Martha's Vineyard Sharks, shout out to them, on the weekend of the 20th of June, I think, we'll be playing as the Amity Sharks. I do have my jersey at least, so definitely shout out to them. But that's part of it is, I know that my grandfather would hate this stuff. My father hates this stuff. But guess what? My grandfather's dead. My father's not far behind. The baseball needs to live beyond them. And it's a different environment than when they were growing up, when there were 4 things to compete for your time and energy. Now there's a zillion.
As an aside, I was a confused little kid. And I thought that I would never want to go anywhere in the Northeast because I confused Amity with Amityville.
Me too.
I assumed there was just one town that had sharks that would kill you, but also a demon house. And that did not feel like a place I wanted to go.
Me too. But as we know, Amity's actually in Massachusetts because in Amity, you say yad.
Yeah, but it's all, when you grow up in Houston, Texas, it's all a thing up there.
It's all a thing up there. Yeah, man. And I just think the world is and I also have to remember, I was talking about to somebody about this the other day, and it's something you tell me all the time. Social media and the internet is not real life. And in real life, people are more polite to each other generally. than they are on the internet. And I don't know why I keep wrapping myself up into the idea that incels can have a voice, but they do. But let people like things. The world sucks right now, man. And it's uncertain. I think there's a lot of reasons to be positive about the future, but a lot of things to be scared about the future. Just let people like things and have a good time and enjoy some baseball. It's 2.5 hours. And if you don't want to go that night because you think it's godless heathen night, then don't go and just do something else. There's got to be a Klan rally you can head up.
There's yet to be a Klan night. I assume that will happen in Arlington.
Probably. Well, I think every night in Arlington is probably Klan night. Go Rangers. All right, Andy, that's going to wrap us up, man. Any final thoughts before we are out of here?
I would like to recommend a couple of things. If you like cringe humor, I can't say enough about Friendship, starring Tim Robbins and Paul Rudd. It's not for everybody. And I think it speaks to a certain male subset of guys who might suffer from loneliness and some other things. And it is one of the most uncomfortable yet funniest things I've seen in a long time. I laughed the entire time, but I also felt kind of bad for laughing at a lot of it. Okay. And then on the completely other end of the spectrum, if you just need to turn off your brain and feel good for an hour and a half, and it is only 137 minutes, Karate Kid Legends.
Oh, cool.
Who doesn't love Jackie Chan? And he's not even being super Jackie Chan-ish in this. An engaging young actor. They flip the script. You know what's going to happen. There's no mystery in how
he's the best around.
But it is a refreshing take. Nowhere near as silly as Cobra Kai got in the middle seasons. I think we both agree Cobra Kai wrapped up well, but there was certainly some teen angsty drama happening for a lot of episodes that didn't need to happen.
Written by 40-year-olds. Yes.
Yeah. This was just refreshing. It was fun. It was light. There were stakes, but you know how it was going to turn out. So you were open. It was okay to root for everything that was going to happen. Spend $1, go to the theater. It's good.
And the kid in the trailer at least looks like he's going to be a star. Like he just looks magnetic as hell as far as his screen presence.
For the racists listening to us, he speaks with a very clear American accent, so you don't have to worry about subtitles or anything, because I know that's a complaint I've heard.
They don't do Arlington, and they don't do subtitles in Arlington either. I'm actually going to talk about a movie like
that would involve reading.
Right, that's true. I'm actually going to talk about now. Look. I hate the fact that this movie is 10 years old, but I walked in at the very beginning of my grandkids having the movie Home on, which is a DreamWorks thing. It stars the guy from Big Bang Theory, what's his name? Parsons, Jim Parsons and Rihanna. It was so sweet and so well done that I was a little choked up in front of them. So if you're missing that, then check out that. So again, probably not 10-year-old kids movies might not be on the top of your bucket list, but and I also hear the Lilo and Stitch remake is pretty good. So that's that. So
we'll have a discussion about this, because I don't understand the live action version of animated films, especially when the live action version of the animated thing looks exactly like the animated thing. How to Train Your Dragon, it's going to have a similar thing, and the dragon looks it's
still an animated dragon, people.
It's the same dragon. It doesn't look any different. It's the same damn dragon. So we'll talk about that later.
We'll get to that during the dog. That sounds like a dog days of baseball season conversation.
Yeah.
For Andy, I'm Jim. Good luck to the Longhorn softball team. We will see you guys next week. This has been Off Day with Ballpark Nation. And we